God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose.
I lost my mother, my father. Been through the pain, but I'm good. I came through the fire and hell in the smoke as I made my way through the hoods. I was raised with the soldiers, had to get it from the mud. Wrote a letter to consumer, all I needed was the plug. Pen game undeniable, spitting fire like a radical. SEAL team when it's tactical, 9 milli automatical. Tell them dirty here to pick a bone. Flesh weak but my spirit strong. This is me when I'm in a zone, cause my head gone, got a mind blown. Took the pain and I painted pictures of a vivid vision, it was in the scripture. Lesson learned, gotta wait my turn, and in due time I can still deliver a lesson from God to pull out my rod, cause I have to punish the children. The body's a temple, so I had to study to help me escape from the building. Heard they foolish wanna challenge dirty, bring them to me, I get up early. Hit man when I ball game, rocking blessed hands on my starter jersey. New sheriff coming through the town, hold your head, never say a sound. Holy Ghost when I move around, walls of Jericho when I tear it down.
God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose.
Call of Duty got them hesitating on the front line of this revelation. Procrastination from a generation when they see me coming, it's anticipated. Highly hated by the overrated, got them spoiled rotten like it's outdated. Soul singing from an affidavit when it's heartfelt, then it's complicated. Medicated from the dedicated, God in me feeling escalated. Many coming but a few belated, like the cornrows when it's French braided. Devil coming so I get prepared. God with me, I ain't never scared. Meditation in the need of prayer. When the war comes, I'ma see you there. Knees bent when I'm in the trenches over hard times I can never mention. Life started with a new beginning. Through the blood of Christ, it was mind-bending. Soul searching, got us on a mission. Over hard times, kept us in the kitchen. Over roles, over repetition, trying to put my family in a new position. Devil challenges, I kept it coming. Never scared, I ain't never running. Weapons formed that will never prosper. God's child, I'm a showstopper. Meditation in the need of prayer. Go to church if you're coming scared. God coming as we get prepared. Over bending knees, over bowed heads.
God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose.
Look, calling all to the battlefield. People say they solid, people say they real. When the spirit bleeds, what the spirit needs. So a simple seed in the holy field. Bow down to the most high, where the souls roam and the spirits fly. Don't need is an alibi, cause in due time even thugs cry. I spit pain when the heart gives, when emotion grows and the spirit lives. Hard times I will change minds, walk a straight line, do it for the kids. Realize I can open eyes, how they look surprised, this is what I give. Open mind, I have just arrived from so far behind, this is how I live.
God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose. God's about to turn me. God's about to turn me loose.
I still got a dream of a Martin Luther King. Them people tryna box us in like a boxing ring. What's the cure to hate? I wish I had the antidote. Maybe these words will help like Maya Angelou. Don't want you to be a leader, that's why they kill Hampton. They're watching every move you make and they still camping. I need to go to the White House cause I need real answers. You hating on me cause I'm black, that's a real cancer. I just wanna be great like I was Ali. Police clutching on their gun when they stop me. I got my hands up how I become a body. They hate Kaepernick took a knee, this country toxic. We need to join together, then go make a protest. What about the reparations that they owe us? Or all the history in Africa that was stolen? You mean to tell me God look like Alec Baldwin? I can't do it by myself, I'm trying to touch the people. Black pride, black love, yeah, it's all equal. I'm a real life king, so that's how I act. Pass this crown to the culture, then I fade to black. Yeah. We fade to black. We fade to black. I gotta fade to black.
Black men. Beautiful black men. I do this for you. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black men, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black men, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black man, you a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Manhood being tested almost every day. Warm heart, cold hands, all work, no play. Try to build a better life for your queen and seeds. Carry the world in the palm of your hands until they bleed. Eyes bloodshot red from the pain inside. Gotta deal with disrespect and an untold lie. No justice, no peace. Black crime increase. Brothers, you really gotta cease before we all deceased. Killing and stealing is a sign of oppression. Drug dealing is a sign of flexing. Rape is a sign of aggression. Hustling means you're striving for blessings. Black men do the knowledge, start to study your lessons. If you wanna hide knowledge yourself, they say put it in a book. We couldn't read it, we too dumb to look. Our whole life was took. We still slaves in these modern times, and all our black men are first in line. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, you a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. A strong man will cry, a weak man will die. A confused man don't really know which way he should fly. Spread your wings and be happy with the people you love. My love is keeping you addicted like your favorite drug. The system got you down, solitary confined. Still alone to make your mind to the end of this time. Now I've been with others, but I don't have a lover sneaking undercover. You the one and only real brother. See, you said it's in our nature to heat. You the dog and I'm the cat, so come and put me to sleep. Lay your head on my pillow where no one else is being. I'll be your jazzy bear when you get up out of the pen. I'll be the wall that you scrape. I'll be there so you won't break. No more slinging, yay and flaking, pushing all of that weight. To my man up in the fence, this is a personal rhyme. Cause you the only one who feels me when I'm losing my mind. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black man, raise your hand and shine.
What up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining. It is your girl, Ness, aka Freshness. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I think that my mic is okay. Let me test. My mic sound nice, check 1. My mic sound nice, check 2. No. Thank you for joining. I appreciate everyone out there. This is a special segment of Fresh and Friends. I have a great person that I want to bring up. This young man has done so much in the community, and probably, I can't wait to hear, but probably even internationally or nationally. So I am looking forward to hearing his story. I am looking forward to everyone out there that is watching, the audience that is from Flint, that's not from Flint. Hopefully, there's something that you can do in your community after hearing his story, because this young man has been through a lot. He has a testimony that is, it's a supernatural testimony. And for him to do, something now in his life that is of great importance, and that is creating a legacy, and that is, helping other people to create legacies, is amazing to me. And so, all right, without further ado, because I can keep going on and on, I'm going to bring up Mr. Percy Glover, and let me make sure my hand claps work. Let's see. I got to give you some hand claps, brother. Hold on, hold on, hold on. My applause be so weak. Finally. Oh, there we go. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I hope I did you justice with my intro. I tried.
It was awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, sounds good. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on to the platform. Um, this is my Fresh and Friends reaction channel. I do have like Black News channel and different things like that, but this is the channel where I have more people watching. So I was like, you know what? Let me add it to my Fresh and Friends reaction channel so that people that is from different, walks of life all over can actually witness this conversation in hopes that there's a spark. Okay, so I have a couple of clips. How my shows usually is set up, I have clips and different things like that that we'll also kind of like take a look at, and then you can kind of discuss those. And I have a banner with questions, and I labeled this "The Boy, the Man, the Leader." Because of the fact that I kind of want to go through your transition with you as to what led you to becoming the leader that you are today for the community. Okay, so yeah, the boy, the man, the leader, and we will start first with, where are you from, and how did your environment affect you as a young child? Like, where did you grow up?
Well, I am from this great city called Flint
Fly City.
in a
Okay.
great state called Michigan. Yeah, I'm from Flint, Michigan. I was born and raised here. My environment impacted me in the same way that it would most young men of color, Black and brown men. You access what is immediately in front of you. So late 80s as a teenager, inability to find a job and the inability to understand what it meant in creating access for myself for employment and opportunities. I did what most guys my age did when we sold dope, plain and simple.
Okay.
I was never one of those guys that saw it as the big grand scheme for myself. Only did things in small pockets and small doses, primarily just to take care of myself. But nonetheless, when you involve yourself in those type of activities, it can never be positive.
Got it. Yeah. So with that being said, following up, what were you like as a 16-year-old? Because I feel like even with young women and young men, 16 is usually that pinnacle point of when you're actually transitioning, becoming like you're a young man, young woman. Your thoughts might be a little different than they used to when you were 14, unless you've seen things in your life where you had to mature early. However, we're going to start at 16 years old. What were you like as a 16-year-old? What were some of the different things that you were doing as a 16-year-old young man?
16 is definitely a critical age for both male and female.
Mm-hmm.
As you share, it's that transition period where you start driving, you may find a job, you may engage more, intentionally with romance and romantic things. So it's definitely a critical age. For me at 16, I was right on the fence, looking at understanding myself, and what direction I wanted to go in. I had some challenges that in my mind made them more extreme than probably what they were. But coming from a single parent home with not a lot of money, everything was exacerbated in my mind and in my space. Looking back, it wasn't as bad. Not saying it was perfect because it was so far from that, but it wasn't as bad. So yeah, it definitely was a critical age for me, and that was where I was literally on the fence. And hey, what direction are you gonna go in? Are you're a good student? Are you gonna stay in school? Are you gonna apply yourself? Are you going to reach out to these neighborhood associations and habits and outlets that are at your fingertips, like a lot of your peers are doing? It was just like that coming of age for me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I this is the most important thing that I want to get out of this conversation is finding out who you are and how your transition was, because a lot of people discuss who they used to be and who they are, but it's that transition, that struggle of that inner turmoil that sometimes people don't discuss, that a lot of young people I feel like need to hear. So I appreciate you with actually being honest about you was on the fence during your that 16-year-old period in your life. So getting a little heavier, what led you to become incarcerated? Like, how old were you when you actually wind up, getting into the system?
So let's back up a little bit. So we talked about being 16 and being somewhere on the fist, not
Yeah.
understanding what direction I want to go in. That following summer, after applying for multiple jobs, getting frustrated, it was then at 17 where I started to explore different opportunities that were illegal. And from there, created a trajectory over the next few years that created a lifestyle where different things just came my way because of the lifestyle. So I'm now carrying a gun every day. I'm hanging out with friends that are carrying guns every day. One thing that we don't talk about is how immature the streets are. Guys get into it for some of the most ridiculous things.
Mm-hmm.
They have these ridiculous shootouts and fights about some of the dumbest things in the world, And one thing we need to really drive with our young people is the irresponsibility around the immaturity that comes from being in the streets. But nonetheless, all those things developed for me. Again, some of the most ridiculous altercations and shootouts about absolutely nothing, literally, that just ran its course and went to a different place. So what specifically led me to prison, I had a friend who was just a neighborhood hot boy. He came from a single parent home. Mom had a great executive job at GM. He connected with some drug dealers from Detroit in the 80s. So, he had all the toys from selling dope with the Detroit guys, as well as being the only child from a single parent home. And some guys from a sister neighborhood was just envious and just mad at him for just being, again, immature. That progressed over a couple of summers where the fighting, shooting just amplified too high for the wrong reasons. For absolutely nothing. There was a fight where those guys attacked my homeboy, his girlfriend, and another young lady he was with. And then went from there to we were shot at, and then we retaliated. And subsequently, people were shot, and unfortunately, somebody lost their life.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Ugh, that's trauma. I know that had to been extremely traumatic to have to, just kind of like be a part of that in that type of situation. And yeah.
One of the things I emphasize to all people, but especially our young people, is that us, especially as young Black males, we aren't taught how to walk away from things. We're not taught how to to de-escalate a moment, but we're also not how to walk away from a moment. And I'm not using that as a justification. In no way am I. You know,
But that's real. I mean, that's real though.
It's definitely part of the miseducation for us. I'll say that. You know, again, not a justification, because if I could give my left hand to take back all of those moments and those choices, I would do so. But again, a part of it is we need to teach our young man how to be reactionary, but how to be reactionary in the most responsible way that's healthy for everyone.
Amen. I like that. And so this question wasn't even on the books. I want to ask, what does toxic masculinity really mean? Like, do you feel like that word that people throw around actually is a real word or a real situation with young men in, you know, teenagers, like from 16 to maybe even 25, having that type of toxic masculinity that people say? I mean, I want to know from a man's perspective, what is toxic masculinity, if it really is a thing?
So I would say first this, in the same way we can drive a negative narrative, we can also drive a positive one. So my question would be, in response to your question, what is the opposite of toxic masculinity? And that should be the thing we should be promoting and pushing.
That's true.
The more we speak and give life and energy to something, it grows. So if it was never a thing, it becomes a thing because we keep feeding it in energy and conversation.
We should be feeding emotional intelligence instead of toxic masculinity.
Correct,
as far as pushing that narrative of emotional intelligence, which
correct,
is
whatever the opposite
something
is
that,
that, we should be pushing that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And culturally, systemically, and even from a government standpoint, that has been always one of the issues when you talk about specifically Black men, but men of color, that the narrative is always a negative one.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we push a positive one that creates a more positive energy and a more positive outlook, a more positive response, a more positive reaction to our young men, instead of always these negative ones?
I agree. And that's the number one thing. One thing that I hope that happens is that more men start to, and I'm being honest, because that's what I see it a lot in my surroundings, I should say, in my experience of pushing the toxic masculinity instead of the emotional intelligence type of conversations. It could be because of, you know, like the majority of the people that I know that as far as like Black men in the environment that they come from, a lot of them don't get the opportunity like you have to understand that transitioning in a struggle may be hard, but it can happen, and you are a product of that as far as what you have accomplished. And there's many more men too to this date, but I agree with that. I want to see more emotional intelligence pushed in, you know, with these young Black men, especially like 17 years old.
And being pushed everywhere, being taught in grade school at an early age.
Yes.
Not just something that's thrown at you when you become an adult. Not just something that's thrown at you when you become a professional, but taught at a grade school level.
Now, let me ask you this picture. During this time in your life, what were you at that crossroads in your life when you were incarcerated during this time? What was your mindset like during this season of your life?
So this picture was taken at the Marquette Branch facility in Marquette, Michigan. For For those that are familiar with the state of Michigan, it's at the far in the upper peninsula of Michigan. You only have about 2 months of summer, June and July. The
Wow.
rest of the year is very cold with some very hostile winters. I'm talking about, we talking about 20, 30, 40 inches of snow. In the worst
Wow.
case scenario, we're talking about below zero temperatures every single day. So this right here, this picture had to be around 99, 2000. So I was heading towards the tail end of my sentence because I was released December 31st, 2003. So I was heading into the tail end of my sentence, and I remember being at Marquette trying to find the balance of what I shared earlier, being able to walk away from moments that didn't support me well and didn't support me positively, but also didn't support the people around me positively. So meaning that if I had a friend who maybe smuggled some drugs into the facility, it was for me to make sure I stay away from that. If there was a fight or a beef going on, it was how can I maneuver to keep myself out of it? So it was me in that transition period of, okay, you coming to the tail end of this. I'm at the 3-year mark. It's now downhill. And what can I do to not only keep myself away from all of the nonsense that's around me, but how can I build myself up? And that facility was a critical one because I had an opportunity to meet some really, really interesting guys who had some real life professional experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So without naming anyone, at this facility, I was locked up with a former senator. I was locked up with a former attorney.
Wow.
With former businessmen. And they were very, 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 very supportive in all of the education and all of the information around education they could share with me as professionals. So that was a very monumental point in my life while being in prison because I had some really, really cool and unique mentors.
That's awesome. Yes, yes. And you know what? We just gonna stop 1 second. Let me see. Let me see. I just gotta give applause. Listen, my applause button be weak, so it's not. But that's awesome. And so you were able to like find connection with those that could take you to the next level mentally, and that actually gave you that inspiration to decide, okay, this is, you know what, I'm a get into this, or I'm gonna get into that. What as far as like politics or advocacy, being an activist, they kind of helped you into kind of inspiring you to start to, get into that. Is that what happened?
Those things, but also understanding myself, understanding how where to shop for a suit and tie, how where to get a suit tailored. I mean, I went into prison relatively
Wow,
young.
that's awesome.
There were some things I had no information around. What does it mean, and how does it mean to communicate as a professional? Just everything. What does it mean, and what does it look like as it relates to networking as a professional? Just any and everything you could think of around professionalism. They shared it with me.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. What would you say to the 16-year-old young man who is watching this today and who just heard everything that you said? What would you, as far as heard your story, your testimony, what would you say to that young man?
So I will share two examples. So I have a guy I was incarcerated with back in the early 90s who was released in December after 57 years.
Mm.
I was also incarcerated with another guy that was released in January that I went to elementary with, that was released after 35 years. And these are the stories that aren't highlighted enough that will deter our young people from certain choices, because all they see and hear is about, I had all the cars, I had all the jewelry, I had all the women. It doesn't even sound humanly possible to spend 60 years in prison. That
Man.
doesn't even sound humanly possible. The man spent 20,000 plus days in prison. 20,000 plus days. And
Mm.
those type of examples need to be shared broadly and greater with our young people to help them understand, like, okay, yeah, for this split second, the cars, the jewelry, the money might be okay. But the end result and the worst case scenarios that aren't talked about, along with not talking about how painful and how hurtful those situations are.
Mm-hmm.
Jail and prison are by far one of the most depressing places. It's some of the loneliest places. It's some of the most saddest places. It's by far some of the strangest lifestyles you could live. I mean, there's nothing merry from a lifestyle standpoint about jail and prison. Anybody that had the opportunity to choose something different, if they knew what those experiences were like beforehand, they would go back and change those things.
Mm.
And my belief is that if guys would explain to younger people that, look, we survived it, but if we could change this, of course it would change. Who would want to do 20, 25, 35 years in prison? When I say it's the saddest place, the most depressing place, at times the most violent place, the strangest place, that times 100 is what the lifestyle can be like.
Mm. Man, God definitely got them and you. And I'm so glad that they're home. And I know that just this whole new way of living in life, they have to adjust, and that's not even easy. So let's talk about the man, Percy the man. What made you decide to pursue an education instead of becoming complacent? Some people when they uh when they get out, some are, I don't like the word to use the word institutionalized. I hate that word. But they actually kind of don't know. And because they don't know, they go back to familiar things and the cycle continues all over again. Some people just decide, you know what, I'm gonna get the best job I can get, because I got a record, and they don't feel like they can continue to pursue like an education and just take it to the max in life. What made you decide to pursue an education?
So I always wanted to go to college. Always want to go to college. And that was a process right before actually going to prison. I was taking steps to get my GED, and actually one of my co-defendants, he had just made his transition as a student at Eastern Michigan. He had just enrolled and had planned to go to school in the fall. And he's like, hey, let's go. Like, dude, this let's do something different. And so all of that was in the process. And during my stay in prison, all of those educational systems that we saw in the 80s weren't there in the 90s. And my only goal, which seemed probably a little small and probably seemed too modest, was I was going back to school and I was going to find a job where I could wear a suit every day. Those are my two goals. And not as easy as I thought it would be in saying it. Definitely an interesting transition. Even then, 20 plus years ago, as a student at a predominantly white institution, even today, I represented then and today a small percentage of people who look like me and sound like me on a PWI campus. So that was very interesting in that transition. When I transferred to the University of Michigan Flint, same interesting type of transition. Small percentage of a population of the student base as relates to Black men. So that was interesting. And I'm also an older student. I'm in my early 30s. I'm not a traditional age student.
Yeah.
So what made me decide? It's just something I always wanted to do. And hey, God had an angel on my shoulder that
That's right.
showed me this was the right transition that I didn't even know at that point.
Well, I think you answered this question already. Were you ever in an internal struggle with yourself during your transition, as far as like the education part? But you know, you getting out, you trying to pursue your education, but you are probably well known in the streets or got a lot of people that you care about that's still doing their thing out in the streets, and so you know, you still have a connection with them. Did that ever happen with you where you were kind of like at that crossroads?
Of course. I mean, back then, things are so much different today. Today, people getting out of jail or prison, there's so much support that didn't exist when I was released from prison.
Yeah,
Back then, you could not find a job, you could not find housing, you could not find support.
I
You
believe
literally
that.
could not find anything, which created this revolving door of incarceration, because whatever you're doing that sent you to jail or prison, you got out and went back to it, or went back to something 10 times worse or 100 times worse, because you didn't have access to anything else. So every day for those first 3 years I was out, it was, you know, so tempted to call my friends in Detroit, like, hey, can I hold this and this on consignment? Because financially I'm struggling. So yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough. It was definitely a struggle that, you know, most people find challenging based on their support system, and more so their lack of support system.
But it was something inside you that just could not. It was just, you know, that spirit you had already pretty much had been around some supportive people, whether they were incarcerated, that gave you something then coming out. So I know that held you, right? You were like, no, I just can't. It was like a feeling, wasn't it?
It
That
definitely was a very, very intense feeling that I had to reaffirm with myself daily that I wasn't going back to prison, and I wasn't going to involve myself in moments with people in situations that would send me back to prison. But definitely the financial aspect is a hard one.
Yeah.
I tell people in a very silly way, you know, I left prison eating ramen noodle every day, came back to the community every day eating ramen noodle.
ramen noodle. I feel
All I
you.
could afford, you
It's
know,
okay.
with the expectation of being able to eat steak and lobster every day. It didn't exist because financially I couldn't afford those things, you know. So the economic piece was definitely a challenging one.
Well, your character definitely, you just got great character. Your character is amazing.
Oh,
Now, speaking of that, as you were talking about a lot of the different programs that now you have, because it wasn't like that when you were getting out. Let's watch this clip real fast. Let's see. I think this is the one.
Impact into the community. We want to assist those individuals making that transition. So I'm involved because I want to help people. And that's why we're here on this block, to help people in this community become better people, better citizens, so that they can transition back into the community, make an impact into the community, become citizens versus ex-inmates or whatever the case might be. We want to help them become citizens, make that full transition to become healthy citizens. So that's why I'm involved.
Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because I grew up on the north end of Flint. And I remember when this was a thriving community. This was a community, Saginaw Street was full of businesses. I went to school about 2 blocks over. And so that's why it's important. That's why I'm still here after 60 years. I'm still in this community because I believe in this community and I believe in this community coming back. So I want to be a part of that.
Have you ever seen, and be honest, I know you will, of all the programs you've been a part of, what makes Ignite unique and why do you think it might work?
Ignite is unique for this reason here because of the involvement of the sheriffs. And I believe that the sheriffs and this initiative, him backing the Ignite program, will give it the kind of push that it needs to transition, well, be the bridge between the community and the law enforcement. I think that that's essential. Before, with the other return assistance program, we had probation and parole officers. That was okay, but the sheriff's involvement and the captains and the lieutenants' involvement will help this be a smoother transition. I think that would be the impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing that I want to add is this here. Throughout the entire country, there has never been an engagement of a department, the sheriff's department, after they leave the jail. Once they leave the jail, it's been over. It's nothing that they don't, if they see you on the street, they may say hi. But until now, this wraparound program, it's people that will be impacted who've been in that jail 35, 40 years ago, 10, and they will be helped. Nobody else cares like that. Nowhere in the country, no, you can do your research everywhere. No sheriff's department is engaged outside of those people and have some kind of say in the wraparound when they return back to society.
When I watched that clip, that was very okay. I'm gonna tell you now, I am an empath, so I get very emotional, and I'm trying.
Nothing wrong with that. If you need to
I'm
cry,
trying
please cry.
not to be Oprah Winfrey over here, okay? But I've been gone for, from Flint for a while. However, my immediate family and majority of my family, 70% of my family is there. And like you, I come from those same humble beginnings. So it's very passionate. I'm very passionate when I see like people that is really, really trying to make a difference and make through action and make a change in a community that I was once a part of back in the day. And, my struggle was similar to yours. And so that just kind of like when I was just going through a couple of clips and I seen that, I had to discuss that. I want to know, is Ignite something that Flint started, or is that something that was a national program that the city of Flint or the sheriffs and everybody started to develop in Flint? Started to pretty much,
My first response to that is that, I say, and I said quite frequently, that there is no such thing as a school to prison pipeline. Let's throw that away. Anybody that goes to prison has to first go through a jail first. So there can be no school to prison pipeline without there being a school to jail to prison pipeline, because you don't go to prison without first going to enter in a jail. And if you look at the volume of people that enter a jail, most people have gone to jail at least a couple times before they actually go to prison. So having services on the jail side that was non-existent 5 years ago, that started at the Genesee County Jail in Flint, that is now a national movement, was very necessary. Because one, it provides people training, education, support systems inside of the jail that if they go back to the community immediately, they got a head start. If subsequently they go to prison, they have a head start on their education that can follow them, that they can take to prison if they subsequently go to prison. So to answer your question, yes, it's a national movement, but no, yes, it did start in Flint at the Genesee County Jail.
Okay, because I seen I think it's a prison or a jail in Utah that adopted the Ignite system.
Virginia, Pennsylvania.
So
Utah,
it's there.
Texas.
That's so okay. Hold on now. Hold on. It's time for another clap. It's time for another applause. Yeah, one more time.
And my piece in the Ignite brand and development. So Sheriff Swanson had an idea for this acronym. It may grow naturally and intentionally through education. And I always say, basically, Sheriff Swanson was saying, let's have dinner. For a person with lived experience around jail, probation, parole, prison, I was able to bring the substance to the dinner and say, hey, this is what we eating. Let me put this on the plate for us. So understanding what those necessary services needed to look like for the Ignite program was where I came into all of this.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so there was a couple of questions I had, but you pretty much answered those, so I don't need to put those up. Um, I think it was this. Did you have any struggles with deciding to work in the system? Now, you kind of answered that because you said about the school to prison pipeline, and you know that that is a thing. If there's a lot of documentaries around the school to prison pipeline when it comes to the Black American community. And you kind of answered that. So I guess, we don't need to discuss that. But this part, do you see trust in Black Americans and police relations getting better in the city due to Ignite?
You're talking about the city of Flint. Yes and no. Unfortunately, there has been a few shootings by police officers of young Black men recently, and those moments have not helped anything. So maybe a year or two ago, we were kind of heading into a more positive direction, but because of these recent shootings by law enforcement on young Black men, we have gone in a backward state. So, and I mean, obviously you can see this on the news, but recently there was a shooting by Flint PD, and then there was one by Michigan State Police locally in the Flint area. So if we were making some rounds, we've definitely lost it.
Okay. But you have been on the forefront, and I noticed that, and I think that you and maybe some more men that you work with are definitely the answer. And it seems like you guys are really working at building up the youth too, as far as I seen some pictures with you out in a lot of different events, as far as like voting events and different things. And I seen a lot of the younger generation there. So I know that you're probably speaking to them. And I'm gonna ask you a couple about some of these images that I have. Now, I know you sent me this image, and I wanted to share it, but unfortunately it did get cut off. So let's discuss this, because this was on, and I follow Ben Crump. Shout out to Ben Crump, who is one of the dopest activists in this generation. And what was this about, as far as him sharing this? Share to the audience what this was about.
So I was one of, I believe it was 4 of us that were interviewed for an article in Bolts magazine, BOLTS Bolts magazine. And this particular article was about automatic voter registration as people are now leaving prison. So if I'm in prison and I have a release date, I now have the opportunity to register vote right before I exit prison.
That's awesome.
And unbeknownst to me, because I didn't have any social media at that time, Ben Crump shared the article, and it was all over everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you, Ben Crump. I haven't met him in person, but I appreciate.
Shout out.
I definitely appreciate the amplification of the work. But yeah, that's what the article is about. It's about automatic voter registration for people living in prison. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we're still the only state that has this in place. So this article was from not this past November, but November of 2023. So unless something's changed in like the last year and a half, I think we're still the only state that has this.
Okay, let's talk about this. And we're on the leader, Percy Glover, the leader, the new Martin Luther, the new Malcolm,
Thank you.
What is the Fair Voting Alliance? What is that?
So FAIR is an acronym that stands for Free Access and Inclusive Rights. So not the only mission, but the primary mission is looking at the economic ramifications of when Black, brown, and marginalized populations do not vote. So the simplest example of that is we have potholes in our streets. We're complaining like, oh, they won't fix the roads, but we didn't vote for that millage that would have repaired the roads. So that's an example of how economics associated with our vote makes all the difference. And helping, again, Black, brown, and marginalized communities understand voter currency, voter economics, all of these different things around voting from a fiscal and a monetary aspect, not just specific to people, but policies, legislation, and all of those different things you'll find on the ballot that's non-specific to individuals, but specific to the words and the legislation.
Awesome. Okay. And I want to shout out Prophetic Winds Ministries International. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And let's see. Thank you, Mr. Glover. And that is by Miss Mary Renee Drake. Thank you so much. Thank you for thank you for watching. We appreciate that. All right. Let's talk about this. So you have something going on tomorrow. Do you want to share and discuss, since we are talking about the voting right now?
So our beloved clerk, Genesee County Clerk and Register of Deeds, Dominique Clemens, connected with this national group, the elections group, and he invited me along with Rebecca from the elections group to talk about some of the work that I do around elections. And one specific part of that is that in Michigan, if you have not been sentenced, you can vote absentee ballot while in jail. So I've, for a little bit more than 6 years now, I've supported people, providing people the opportunity at the Genesee County Jail to cast their vote while as an inmate, as a participant resident at the Genesee County Jail. It's been like a granny moment, like one of those things that, like, man, granny is up above looking at me and very proud.
That's awesome.
It's a real granny moment.
Amen.
6 years ago, we made we made Good Morning America, because this wasn't done or being done anywhere else in the country at this time. Currently in Michigan, the work I do at the Genesee County Jail is the most consistent jail voting process of any other jail of the 82 jails across the 83 counties in Michigan. Again, it's been a real granny moment. I have candidate forums regularly where we bring in candidates right before the election so they can share who they are, what they are, why they are as they campaign for specific seats, and give our population of voters in the jail the opportunity to Q&A and to listen. Candidate forums don't happen frequently enough in the community, and the ones that has happened at the Genesee County Jail is the only place of confinement that these type of things have ever happened. So we're still at the top of the list of doing things that are cutting edge and that makes all of the difference in the most extreme way.
All right. Well, Prophetic Winds Ministry says, wow, that's amazing. That is, it's just a beautiful thing. Now, speaking of that, I want to give you some plug too with your book. So I know that this might be off topic as far as voting, but what is this?
So, and I probably should not stop saying so.
It's okay.
However, I define concrete lies and abstract truths as poetic self-therapy. So everything as it relates to the book, minus the introduction and the back cover, was all written while I was in prison. So writing for me in prison was a way to escape, way to put my feelings on paper, a way to process things, a way to, as I was seeing things in the news and the media, to create my own understanding And my sister, who, and I shouldn't say this, but she started her own publishing company, and out the gate, she wasn't very good. And over the next couple of years after, she was excellent. And
Awesome.
she kept pressing me to, she's like, write a book. And I'm like, no. And then finally, she pressed me hard enough and long enough. And here you have it. Concrete Lies, Abstract Truths. It's a 5-star publication on Amazon. For anybody that's in the Flint area who are looking for hard copies, they can reach out to me. Again,
I want one.
I got you, sis. I got you. I promise.
Thank you.
For me, again, is poetic self-therapy. It was, writing was a way for me to escape and put all of these rougher emotions somewhere else instead of a fight and argument inside the penal system.
Well, Mr. James Drake says, congratulations, Mr. Percy. Did he say D Glover? I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah.
This all
D
right
Glover.
now. And you know what? This is an applause moment. I'll get better at that. Trust me. I suck at applauses. Okay. Do we have another? Oh, we got some people that want to give you some love. So before because we're almost done, I know you about tired of me. I'm this can go on and on. I'm very I love the conversation. Very interesting book, great read. Okay, and that was Sheila Skates.
Yeah.
All right.
One of the most interesting things, Prophetic Winds Ministry International, I definitely have a copy for you. So one of the most interesting things in life is that how this conglomerate of people I work with on a daily basis. Miss Sheila Skates, she is assistant deputy warden at a facility here in Michigan.
Oh, awesome.
Prosecutor David Layton and assistant prosecutor Tammy Phillips for the Genesee County Prosecutor's Office are 2 people I work with daily. Judge David Gwynn and Judge Mary Hood, local law enforcement officers. It's just really, it's really interesting how all of my negative experiences have become great tools in my toolbox as I work with people that you probably wouldn't think we would have connections in a positive way. You wouldn't think a formerly incarcerated person could work with a prosecutor's office and it'd be a positive thing. And not be a moment of how Black men are most times used in those capacities as an informant or a snitch. It's none of that. It's me working with the prosecutor's office or whatever office's issue to say, hey, how do we work together to keep our community happier and a better place?
That's amazing.
And sometimes I think also that for Black and brown communities, sometimes they don't understand the value we have that we can share, where we are more than just informants or snitches or things like that. We have way more value to share with those local elected officials than just those small negative capacities. We're so much greater than that.
Listen, this is such an emotional conversation. I tell you, for me, it's so amazing because I've been an activist for so long in my life. And like I told you, I've been with the NAACP. Don't judge me, but I first started my activism in Atlanta with the new Black Panther Party when Brother Khalid Muhammad was alive, rest in peace. And from there, I have been extremely vocal and unapologetic about, making sure that wherever I move, I help to make changes in whatever city and state that God places me in. And so having this moment with you and knowing that there are some amazing people that is in my city, that is taking care of my city, and that's working extremely hard to uplift and to build and to change the narrative of how people perceive us. is amazing to me. And I do want to say, doing some research, and since Ignite has started, I noticed that there was a decline in overcrowding jails. I read about that. And there was a decline in a lot of different things. So you guys are really working extremely hard to make a difference. And that's, when I was there, it wasn't like that. And I'm just being honest. So I appreciate that. And let me get some of these shout outs for you on out here. Let's see. Derek Dent says, I appreciate your hard work and dedication. The community and youth need more men like you. And that is absolutely correct. And that's a beautiful thing. You got all these different people that is showing you so much respect, and
Thank you.
and I love to see it. Sabrina Harris says, amen. Yes, honey, amen. All right. So I want to ask you this. I got a couple of more, just two more images. What was your thoughts? What were you thinking when you were walking along, and had your feet planted to the sand, had your little two-piece on, like you said, you wanted to get into you wanted like to wear suits and stuff, so you had your your little gear on. What was your thoughts though?
So actually, this was a picture from last summer when I was in Texas for a conference. And anybody knows me knows that I'm a huge avid fisherman. I'm a huge outdoorsman. I love water, even though it sounds crazy because I can't swim. But
Me
I love
either.
water.
I love water and can't swim, right?
I love the fish. And this was just a beautiful scenery. And I just took my shoes off because it was such a nice day. And as I'm walking across the beach, the people around me snapped the image. So this past December 31st, marked my anniversary of being out of prison, 21 years.
Awesome.
So I use this picture as a highlight of the anniversary, primarily because there's just no more looking back. It's only forward thinking, only forward moving, and only looking at how we can really change the culture of the community. Not looking at how we've done things before, because clearly so many aspects systemically has not worked, but pushing the envelope differently to say, you know what, how can we challenge things? How can we challenge things differently for the greater good of the community? And that picture just highlights that. Just we see something bigger and broader, whether it's the ocean in front of me or whether it's systemic change.
Amen. And Mary Renee Drake says, I love it. A fisherman of men. Absolutely. I appreciate it. And so my last image would be this one. I love this picture. It like this, you went, from the first picture I showed you with you being incarcerated and having that conversation about what that picture meant. And now this is the last picture that I have in showing the leader of who you are. And what was this? Where did this take place? What was the event? What was the conversation?
So this was at a noontime meeting at the McCree Theater, and the topic of discussion was around voting and the local election that was coming up. One thing that is significant about this picture is, one, as I shared that, we have to be seen differently, and we have to understand that we can be seen differently. What that means is that as Black and brown communities, we have to understand that elected officials work for us. As voters, we elect them into position to become employed for and by us. So they work for us based on our vote for them. And knowing that we also, as employers of these people, we have say and a voice to their aspects of their assignments as employees. Now, one of the things you'll see up my left breast is a pocket badge from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office.
And what is that?
So, meaning that's a badge that has my title, the Genesee County Sheriff's Office on there, my name, and it's a pocket badge that law enforcement agencies or agents wear with their suits. So people will see this and say, how does someone, as a formerly incarcerated person, of a violent offense, as a formerly incarcerated person of a manslaughter and a felony firearm and a CCW, how does he fall into this position? One, again, we can work with the community as Black and brown men and not fall into a stereotype where we are rats and informants. My role with the Genesee County Sheriff's Office is one that I say very humorous, very silly, that my job is to take lemons and make lemonade. I'm not a traditional law enforcement officer. I don't arrest. I don't do custody at the jail. Again, my job is to take lemons and make lemonade. What does that mean? That means it creates systemic change, support systems between the sheriff's office and the community, and how can we work most effectively together, along with working with Ignite services. How do we break this revolving door of incarceration, generational incarceration, all of these different type of things. Then when you go back to look what I shared earlier, people say, well, Percy, who do you actually work for? I say, I work for the community. I work for the community. The sheriff's office is just one more place that nicely provides me a check, but I work for the community because you have to keep the community in mind. You have to keep the community's best interest in mind. And that's the only way you will impact or create change.
Servitude.
When you have the community best interest at heart, but also, again, as voters, elected officials work for us. And part of working for us is working with us and understanding the need to work with us. And that's how it makes sense for me to work for the community at the sheriff's office, or my past assignment, work for the community at the parole office, or some of my other past assignments, working at my community college for the community at the college.
I love it. That is amazing. You have another comment, and then I have the last question for you. Okay. Well, more than a hold on, let's see. Okay, I know Yolanda Cooley says, awesome, love you, bro. And then Mary Renee Drake, thank you for your engagement. You don't know how much this means to me, for all of these people to be engaging. That means more eyes will be on this video from all over, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to.
Yes, speak it.
And Flint born, Flint strong. You understand me?
Right.
And Prophetic Winds Ministry says, yes. I know, right? Y'all, this might be the next mayor. Excuse me, let me put that in existence. You might be now. You all right. So the last question, because I know you got to go. What goals would you like to accomplish in 2025? Like, what is the main focal point of what you are working toward for this year?
So last summer and the previous summer before that, we had a very intense youth gun violence moment. Gun violence was very high among our young people. Last summer, we saw lives being lost as young as 12 to 17. And my priority mission, along with so many other community leaders and activists, is addressing that in the right way. how can we most effectively curb our young people away from gun violence? That is the goal right there. That's at the very top of the list.
Okay. Well, that's definitely important and should be number one, as you say. Okay, so somebody agree with me. I was nervous to speak. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Mayor Glover. Look, he will not crack a smile. He like, I ain't even gonna touch that right now. But that's how people think.
That's very, very nice. I appreciate it.
Speak, it is very possible. That's right. Georgia here. Georgia here.
Yep, they're in the state of Georgia.
Okay. Oh, Georgia. Yes. All right. Thank you. Okay. So that means that I got people watching from different places. I appreciate that. Okay. Well, you have people watching, I should say. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to actually, because I know we had to like go through the comments a little faster. And since we're done with the questions, now you can kind of speak to the people that have support, that's supporting you. So we know that Mary Renee Glover said, thank you, Mr. Glover. And you can, have these conversations. I'm just going to go through the list so that you can kind of read the comments and respond. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Prophetic Winds Ministry. Okay, we discussed that one. And then she said that was amazing about, the conversation you had earlier. And then Mr. James Drake, I just want to make sure I didn't leave people out, says, congratulations, Mr. Percy D. Glover. We did discuss his comment. And then Sheila Skates, very interesting book. She said it was a great read. Don't forget my book. I'm going to be on your head. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And then Prophetic Winds Ministry says she wanted one and you did respond to her.
Yep, I got
it. Thank you so very much. So she letting you know you said you got it and she's thanking you right now. Derek Dent said, I appreciate your hard work and dedication. The community and youth need more men like you. And that I don't think we responded.
Thank you, Derek.
Okay. And Sabrina Harris says, amen. Yes, honey. Amen. And I like this comment right here. This is very biblical, very on point. I love it. A fisher of men. And I hope I'm saying her name right, but Yolanda Cooley. Yep. Awesome. Love you, bro. All right. And then, of course, Mary Renee Drake is just amazing. She is like making sure that you are truly supported. So that was pretty much it. Oh, and then Yolanda Cooley says, oh, yes, all the way from Mississippi.
That's right.
All right now. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I totally thank you for giving me your time. This was a Black History Month edition to Fresh and Friends podcast. This was my first one. And like I said, from actually you being in my algorithm, you are in my algorithm. So I do see a lot of your posts and different things like that. And I've noticed that you have been extremely consistent when it comes to like a lot of community activities and different things like that. And because of the fact that we share, my family is your family, I'll say that. And, I found out about you through my family, through Darwin. And from that conversation, just knowing that there was a testimony, I definitely wanted to hear that and for you to be able to express that to a larger audience. Because I've lived all over. So there are supporters of, my supporters from Chicago and everywhere that understands and will be listening to this. Then we got Flint, we got Mississippi, we got Georgia. You know what I'm saying? We got to let this this conversation needs to be had and addressed, and hopefully there'll be more conversations. I would love for you to come back in any time that you need a platform or you have anything that you want to promote. you know I got you, because you truly supported me in my small platform, my small but mighty platform. I'm going to say
Mighty, say that, mighty.
Small but mighty, because listen,
Right.
my platform, I don't do nothing without God first. Okay, so I pray over everything. I'm not buying no followers, nothing. Everything is organic on my platform, and that is why it may take a little longer, but I know that the people that follow and watch are organically watching, and that's what's important. And let's see, before we head out, we thank you for allowing Mr. Glover to come on to share information with us. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will follow your broadcast. Thank you for sharing the mic with us. Thank you. And please, I do have a Black news channel, and I discuss politics and a lot of different things on that. I will have that in the ticker after the show if you want to check it out. It is my this is insane podcast on YouTube, but I also have a lot of the different podcast shows on Facebook as well. Okay, if you want to take a look. And mighty, yes, all right, and put God first. That's what my platform is about, putting God first. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to take it out with a couple of videos. Fade to Black, which is a Black man's anthem, and then I have a song that I dedicated to Black men, and that will be it. So please,
thank you.
Stay locked in so you can get all of the links and everything like that. And if any other comments come up, I'll be putting them up after we get off. Okay. All right. Thank you once again, Mr. Glover. I appreciate it. And
next time.
Yes, and don't be a stranger. Okay. If you need my services and anything pertaining to whatever you're doing, I would gladly be a part of that. Okay. And volunteer. I'm telling you that on air.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, everybody. Love y'all and mean it. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night.
I still got a dream of a Martin Luther King. Them people trying to box us in like a boxing ring. What's the cure to hate? I wish I had the antidote. Maybe these words will help like Maya Angelou. Don't want you to be a leader, that's why they kill Hampton. They watching every move you make and they still camping. I need to go to the White House cause I need real answers. You hating on me cause I'm Black, that's a real cancer. I just want to be great like I was Ali. Police clutching on their gun when they stop me. I got my hands up how I become a body. They hate Kaepernick, took a knee, this country toxic. We need to join together, then go make a protest. What about the reparations that they owe us? Or all the history in Africa that was stolen? You mean to tell me God look like Alec Baldwin? I can't do it by myself, I'm trying to touch the people. Black pride, Black love, yeah, it's all equal. I'm a real life king, so that's how I act. Pass this crown.
Black men. Beautiful black men. I do this for you. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black men, use $1, not a dime. Your hand's stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black men, use $1, not a dime. Your hand's stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black men, raise your hand and shine. Black man, you $1, not a dime. Your hand's stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Manhood being tested almost every day. Warm heart, cold hands, all work, no play. Try to build a better life for your queen and seeds. Carry the world in the palm of your hands until they bleed. Eyes bloodshot red from the pain inside. Gotta deal with disrespect and an untold lie. No justice, no peace. Black crime increase. Brothers, you really gotta cease before we all decease. Killing and stealing is a sign of oppression. Drug dealing is a sign of flexing. Rape is a sign of aggression. Hustling means you're striving for blessings. Black men do the knowledge, start to study your lessons. If you wanna high knowledge yourself, they say it, put it in a book. We couldn't read it, we too dumb to look. Our whole life was took. We still slaves in these modern times, and all our black men are first in line. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, you a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. A strong man will cry. A weak man will die. A confused man don't really know which way he should fly. Spread your wings and be happy with the people you love. My love is keeping you addicted like your favorite drug. The system got you down, solitary confined, still alone to make your mind to the end of this time. Now I've been with others, but I don't have a lover sneaking undercover. You the one and only real brother. See, you said it's in our nature to heat. You the dog and I'm the cat, so come and put me to sleep. Lay your head on my pillow where no one else is being. I'll be your jazzy bear when you get up out of the pen. I'll be the wall that you scrape. I'll be there so you won't break. No more slanging yay and flaking, pushing all of that weight. To my man up in the fence, this is a personal rhyme, cause you the only one who feels me when I'm losing my mind. Black man, raise your hand and shine. Black man, use a dollar, not a dime. Your hand stronger than an automatic 9. True reflection of the word divine. The word defines. Black man, raise your hand